All right. Well, good morning. We're taking a little different track because of my schedule. So we're going to do like morning devotion on Saturday rather than an hour's message. And I'll probably do something like this as well tomorrow. All right. So it will give everyone something to consider through the day. All right. So this is episode 366, and I entitled this "Stopping the Temple Construction." And we began dealing with this yesterday. But what's happening is those indigenous people, or no, I shouldn't say that. Those squatters who have come into uh, Israel and have set up housekeeping there, and really belongs to the Israelis. The Israelis are coming back to their own land, are sending letters back to Persia. They have lobbyists and they have men on the ground right there that are hindering the work. And now they're sending a document back to Artaxerxes to say that these people, if you allow them to rebuild the temple and rebuild the wall, they are a rebellious and bad city, a bad nation. The history of Israel is terrible. And if you allow them to get root back again in their land, they will rebel against you, Artaxerxes, and they will stop paying their taxes. They'll start paying their tolls. And it's just going to be hard. So the best way you can preserve your kingdom is to stop the building of the temple and any further rebuilding of Jerusalem. And they're all doing this for contrary reasons, for all their self-serving reasons. They're saying because we're such loyal subjects to the Persian king that we don't want anything bad to happen to you, which is just it might be buttering him up to say the least. But that's where we pick up here. So we're at verse 15 of Ezra chapter 4. It says, now this is that letter that they wrote to King Artaxerxes. It says, that search may be made in the book of the records of thy fathers, so shalt thou find in the book of the records, and know that this city is a rebellious city, and hurtful unto kings and provinces, and that they have moved sedition within the same of old time, for which cause was this city destroyed. Now, that's from their perspective, but they did rebel against everyone. We already been through that. Anybody that's been with me for morning devotions know that it is a rebellious city, all right? And only when they were walking with the Lord were they free from this, but so much of the time they just rebelled. We certify the king that if this city be builded again, and the walls thereof set up by this means, thou shalt have no portion on this side of the river. And this side of the river is just the phrase that's being used of that which is west of the Euphrates, that if they establish their kingdom there, then you're going to lose your footing here on all that property, which is west of the Euphrates River. Well, this is an overstatement on their part, but if Israel came to its glory, we know that the edges of the kingdom that was promised to Abraham extend all the way to the Euphrates River. So there is a little prophetic significance to this, whether or not these people that understand it know and are just using it for hyperbole to get Artaxerxes on their side so they'll stop the building. This is all just very self-centered, autonomous in what they're doing. They don't care anything about the king of Persia. They're just looking out for their own control of the region. So they don't want the Israelis back in the land. So, verse 17. Then sent the king an answer unto Rehum, the chancellor, and to Shimshai the scribe, and to the rest of their companions, that dwell in Samaria, and unto the rest beyond the river, peace at such a time. The letter which ye sent unto us has been plainly read before me. So, yes, I read your document that you said. He's sending this back to Samaria, which is the capital of Israel in the north. And I commanded, and search hath been made, and it is found that this city of old time hath made insurrection against kings. Yes, they hath made insurrection against kings, and that rebelled, and sedition hath been made therein. Yeah, what you're saying about it is absolutely true, which we all know the Bible gives a record of. It said, there have been mighty kings also over Jerusalem, which have ruled over all countries beyond the river, and toll, tribute, and custom was paid unto them. Now he's talking about David and Solomon. Yes, you're right. There were kings in Israel that paid toll and custom and taxed all the way to the Euphrates River. So that is also true. We know that's true about David and Solomon. Give ye now commandment. Now, based on that, because what we found in our records is what you're saying is right, he said, give ye now commandment to cause these men to cease, and that the city be not built until another commandment shall be given from me. So that's why this is going to be temporary. It's going to be a temporary law of the Persian king that until you hear something back from me, they have to stop building. All right, now he's mentioning the building of the wall, and I said again that I don't think this is happening. I think this is just a claim that's being made by these folks, because if you can rebuild the city, that's a whole different thing than rebuilding the temple. The temple, from a Persian perspective, it was already decreed by Cyrus. So, and there wasn't, I don't think they see any real problem with building a temple, but the walls, as I said, Jerusalem was on a mountain, it's on a fortress. That's a whole nother issue. All right, so they throw that in there to get the attention of Artaxerxes. If all they said is they're here building the temple, he'd say, yeah, well, what's that? That's not a big deal. But if you're building the city of Jerusalem, the fortress city of Jerusalem, that would mean that this foothold is being established, and there is something seriously to consider. Now, they do that. When Nehemiah comes back, he's going to rebuild the wall, but things are going to change, okay? Take heed now that ye fail not to do this. Why should damage grow to the hurt of the kings? Yeah, there's no reason that we should allow this to happen. We're just, if we're the ones permitting it, it's a province of Persia. I mean, let's just stop it. And then he goes on. Now, when the copy of King Artaxerxes' letter was read before Rehum and Shimshai the scribe and their companions, they went up in haste to Jerusalem unto the Jews and made them to cease by force and power. That is, they're not just going to yield, all right? But this is the pressure that they're under, okay? They're going to make these guys stop building the temple for sure, and whatever else is going on in a perfunctory way. And then in verse 24, here you have it, because they are pushing against, I say we push against the curse, but here they're pushing against the curse, against every kind of objection, both in Persia and on the ground right there where the work is being done. I mean, this is something that you keep in mind. The same thing when Nehemiah builds the wall. All of this building is being done under terrible pressure, in dangerous territory with enemies surrounding them. And yet the work is being done. And that's why it's in the Bible. I mean, we see that God, for God's perspective, this isn't pressure, but from those that are on the ground doing this, this is just horrendous what's happening. So, because remember, they're rejoicing because they got the foundation of the temple laid, and then as soon as they get the foundation laid and they can see the neighboring enemies can see it, then they gear up to make sure it all stops. If nothing happens, nobody will say anything. But if something's happening, that's when you get people engaged in things. Where activity is happening, that's where the adversary goes. If everybody's just asleep at the wheel and nobody really cares, I mean, what's the use of stopping nothing? I mean, something that's not happening or has hardly any impact. But wherever there's impact, and that's what we're seeing here with these Israelis coming back into the land and rebuilding the temple, and then in a little bit here, Nehemiah rebuilding the wall. This is something. Now, this is huge, all right? And that's where the adversary is going to gear up, and he uses people to do it, and that's what we're seeing here. Artaxerxes is just following the instructions of those that were there before the Israelis returned. All right, and they made a good case. He didn't even take their word for it. He said he checked it out himself. So, verse 24, it said, "Then ceased the work of the house. Then ceased the work of the house of God, which is at Jerusalem," and they stopped it. So it ceased unto the second year of the reign of Darius, king of Persia, and Darius is the king that follows Artaxerxes. And let me check on that to make sure. Well, yeah. Yes. Okay. Well, that's it. It was only 10 minutes. I wrapped up chapter 4, but and generally I prepare a Sunday morning message, but we're going to just go this route at least maybe for the next several weeks until I get home. All right. And if schedule change, we'll change it up. But I wanted to get something out there available for people to consider, something to meditate on through the course of the day. And so we'll just wrap it up there. That's the end of chapter 4. And so the Lord bless you. You have a great day. And tomorrow's the Lord's Day. Make sure you're in church. All right. And be faithful to the local church. Go ready to listen to whatever the pastor has to say. When you hear the word of God, don't say, yeah, that was good for Mary or John. Consider that it's good for all of us to hear the word. All right. Okay. All right. Well, the Lord bless you. You have a great day. And we'll see you. Bye. Oh. Happy Father's Day if I don't see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Father's Day. Okay, we'll see you. Bye.